Without a horn section firing those staccato notes like a machine gun, a funk band is only a rhythm section with vocals. Except, of course, when there are no actual brass parts on the tracks in the first place, in which case a funk band is just merely a funk band. Still, that doesn't happen a great deal in funk music, and therefore, when putting the lineup together for the Big Funk Corporation, the search for the most creative and energetic section was sought after. Meet Chris, Simon and Trevor. Admittedly sounding like a late 90s reworking of the Rainbow Team when collectivised in this way, these three dons of brass and reed have been sharing the front of the stage with Andy, Vanessa and Janet since the early noughties, and this little profile barely scratches at their individual talents. But here goes. New Zealand-born saxophonist Chris White began working with the band in 1997. As with all the guys in the band, has recorded and played on those big stages with a variety of artists including Ray Charles, Paul McCartney, Billy Ocean and Joe Williams. And from 2010 to 2015, joined Van Morrison's band, playing on several albums recorded during this period. He went on to study film composition and graduated from the UK National Film and Television School in Beaconsfield. And has gone on to compose and arrange a multitude of film and television soundtracks, including The Heart Machine starring Caitlin Shale, The Map of Hell featuring Danny Trejo, and collaborating with the late director Mobius on his final film La Planète Encore. His TV credits include the BAFTA award-winning Educating Yorkshire, Alan Yentob's Imagine, Heathrow, Britain's busiest airport, and Liberty of London. Like Chris and Simon, Trevor Myers also started working with Andy and the guys in the late 90s. With an enormous number of credits under his belt, which of course I've decided to list here, such as George Benson, Michael Bublé, Noel Gallagher, Gloria Gaynor, Alicia Keys, Chaka Khan, Beverly Knight, Lamar, Joss Stone, Westlife, Alexander O'Neill, Mark Ronson, Cuddly Toy, Radiohead, and also jazz legends like Randy Brecker, Pat Metheny, Oscar Peterson, David Sanborn, Toots Thielemans. He has also found time to be a regular member of Incognito's lineup, and also arranges and plays trombone with Sir Tom Jones. You'd think with all that activity he'd be busy enough, but he also writes and records with his jazz quintet and the well-renowned Plumstead Radical Club. The third member of the unsurpassable trinity is Simon Finch, who has played with All Saints, Annie Lennox, Boyzone, Fatboy Slim, Matt Bianco, Ollie Murs, and for the benefit of this little film acts as spokesman for the section. They speak in one voice, as you would expect with all good brass sections.
Well, I've known Trevor since he was about 15, 16, because I used to live in South East London in Brockley, and there was a jam at what used to be called the Paradise Bar. on Deptford High Road, and I lived just around the corner from there. So I used to go to the Wednesday night funk jam. It was a late bar, and Trev used to go in there, obviously underage as well, I think. No, he wasn't underage. No, he was definitely. No, he didn't drink. He was just there, and he was just a local kid playing Fred Wesley style trombone, and I bet him then. But playing professionally with Trevor for since he was about 21. So how many years ago? 15 years or so. I've been playing with Chris since I've been playing with you.
Studying at Leeds and Guildhall, he describes the beginning of his relationship with the horn.
No, I started a euphonium actually, weirdly, but it's a bit big and I was a bit small, so trumpet seemed to be the one really. Yeah, so I started about age 10 and went to music college when I was 18, graduated when I was 22, then did postgraduate course in London, and then I've been a pro on the sort of scene since then.
Just to emphasise the point, I got him to rattle off a few more names of show he's blown trumpet for.
Oh, the who's he of show business. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Eric Clapton, Florence and the Machine, Blur, Tom Jones, Kellys.
Yes, all right, that's enough. Simon's first gig of notoriety was with the seminal acid jazzers, the James Taylor Quartet. Although it seemed to be more of a sextet because there was a horn section.
Oh yeah, James Taylor Quartet. That was my first sort of break. I was only subbing at the time, but I lived with a couple of guys who were in the band, and when the trumpet player couldn't do it, I used to sort of sub for him, and then I got the gig for a short while. Yeah.
Interestingly, like many of the fantastic talents to play with a band, Simon expresses a common sentiment about gigging experiences.
Sometimes it's the tiny small gigs that are the ones that you sort of get most pleasure from and sort of have the most meaning. In terms of size and kind of mentalness, Florence and the Machine headlining Glastonbury in 2015, that was something else, but it was just on the sheer size. But in terms of actual gigs that have been, my favourite gigs have been actually some of you, actually, mate, with all honesty.
Yes, don't try and get around me that way. Anyway, tell us some of your main musical influences, Simon.
My heroes are Miles Davis, James Brown, and Brian Wilson.
As I think has been mentioned in the other band segments, these damn talented musicians are all embroiled in the mire that is original music. Here Simon describes his future ambitions.
Yeah, the old saying, the older I get, the better I was. So, I don't know. I'm at the moment. I'm doing more of my own stuff. I've got time to do more of my own projects. I've got my own studio set up. I'm just about to release my first solo project, and yeah, doing a bit more sort of production stuff in the studio.
On the odd occasion, the band's brass section expands sometimes to 4, 5, even 6. Another regular that has added his musical voice to the sound is saxophonist Rob Hughes. And as he happened to be in the studio when I was doing this, I thought we'd have a little chat with him too. Rob's played with an innumerable number of artists, and we'll reel out a long list later just to vary our approach. Playing professionally for too many years for me to be allowed to mention, his obvious start was with strings.
Yeah, I learnt the violin. I was awful, and my mum played the violin, and I got to grade 5 or something. I was pretty hopeless, and I went away on holiday with my family somewhere abroad. We never went abroad. It was very exciting to go abroad. I think it was Menorca, and Baker Street was playing in the background behind a swimming pool. It's very middle class, isn't it? Anyway, and yeah, I loved it. It was amazing. I loved the track, I loved the sound of the instrument, I loved the way it spoke, its lyrical nature, and then just started listening to more saxophone, and then I got a cheap saxophone, and that was it really.
His first professional gig as a saxophonist was quite exciting though.
I played my first professional band. I was 17 in Birmingham. We supported Chuck Berry, touring around the UK. We were paid £100 for the entire band. There were 12 of us in the band per night, so it was sleeping on floors and lots of split-a-van experiences and things like that.
Obviously, this sumptuous fee was enough to coax Rob into the life of a professional musician. And now, for our delectation, here's the inevitable who's who of performers he's currently playing with since the luxury of those early days.
I could reel off lots of people that I work for.
Yeah, go on. Reel off lots of people you work for.
But it's their music, isn't it? You know,
Yeah.
I think that's the point that I'm saying. But yeah, I've done some stuff for Ronson. I've done some stuff for recently been doing ABC, which is an old band from the 80s, but they've got a new album out. We've just finished an orchestral tour, which is amazing because there were 50 people on stage every night, which is great. I'm doing some stuff at the minute for M People, and yeah, Frankie Goes to Hollywood. Very odd sort of selection there, but
Very
I do like
80s.
very 80s. Yeah, I do like pop music. You know, I'm a bit of a soul boy, so it pleases me.
With several albums under his own name, Rob continues performing original material in between the many giants of 80s music he's currently touring with.
I would say I made my first album in 2006, and I would say perhaps I should have done that sooner. I think it's great playing for other people, but as you know, it's important to write your own music and leave a mark, as it were. I don't mean that in an egotistical way, but some kind of, you know, sentence, statement that you've been around, you've been on this planet, and that's your music. Nobody else will sound like you. So I think that's really important.
So there you have it, guys, the brass section, in its many and variegated forms, that ultimately speaks as one. Over to you, Rob, for the last word.
He's a very, very naughty man. I mean, I'm on his website right now, but he is a very naughty man, but musically very naughty.